Throughout the back half of the 90s and the early 2000s, Sonic Team released a number of games completely detached from its namesake franchise. You may know these as Nights into Dreams, Choo Choo Rocket, Samba de Amigo, or Billy Hatcher and the Giant Egg. And if you haven't heard of them, you've at least seen them in the All-Stars racing games. However, none of these really became franchises in the way that Sonic did. Nights and Samba de Amigo got sporadic sequels, but that's about it. And, aside from co-developing Sakura Wars in 2019, Sonic Team's been all about Sonic since 2008. Except, there's one notable exception you may not have heard of. A series that was right alongside those GameCube-era games, had crossed over with not only Sonic, but Hatsune Miku and Kirby. A series that you may have even played without realizing it, and yet has managed to slip through the cracks of general knowledge. I am, as you may have guessed from the title of this video, talking about the puzzle game franchise Puyo Puyo. Puyo Puyo is a puzzle game series, first released in 1991. It is a spin-off of the 1989 dungeon crawler series Mado Monogatari, which takes its cast and transforms their RPG-style battles into puzzle battles. While the series was extremely popular in Japan, even spawning reskinned localizations like Kirby's Avalanche and Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, Compile became a bit overzealous. In the span of 10 years, there were over 25 Mado Puyo games, several of them being remakes, not even counting their Disc Station magazine releases. And so before the turn of the decade, Compile went bankrupt and Puyo was sold to Sega, in hopes of buying it back in the future. This did not happen. But thankfully, that's not the end for Compile. A reformed version of the company, named Compile Heart, would continue making games. And you may even know them from their series Hyperdimension Neptunia, proving they learned nothing. In 2001, Sonic Team would release Mina de Puyo Puyo on GBA, later released in English as Puyo Pop. However, most attention goes to 2004's Puyo Puyo Fever, localized as Puyo Pop Fever. This was Sonic Team's big coming out game with Puyo, releasing it on everything. GameCube, PS2, Xbox, Windows, GBA, DS, PSP. It was the last game Sega published on the Dreamcast. It even had a mobile port. But this, fever to make Puyo Puyo the next big thing for Sonic Team was short-lived. By the time of the next year's Puyo Puyo Fever 2, the series was scaled back to a Japan-only release on DS, PS2, and PSP. Since then, the series has continued being largely Japan-exclusive until Puyo Puyo Tetris was localized internationally in 2017, and several subsequent games followed it. So if it's been around for so long, why do so few people know about Puyo? It is oddly weird how quickly Sega backpedaled with Puyo's international presence, going from wanting it everywhere on everything to its select few consoles only in Japan. Even stranger is its lack of representation in Sega crossovers. The only material it got in these types of games are minigames in the Sega Superstars iToy game, and in All-Stars Tennis, and an item in All-Stars Racing Transformed. The Japanese version only, of course. But Sonic and Puyo Puyo share a special bond, Sonic Team adopting Puyo as its own. Sonic appears in Puyo Pop Fever Carnival Edition, has made crossovers in the mobile gacha game Puyo Puyo Quest, and the only time Puyo characters have properly appeared in another series was in a collab event with Sonic Runners. After Puyo's return to internationality in Sonic Forces, there's a DLC outfit that lets you dress like one of its protagonists, and Sonic is a free DLC character in Puyo Puyo Tetris 2. A round of Puyo was even a boss in Sonic Mania in reference to Mean Bean Machine, though unfortunately uses the same early rule set without even being able to offset. It's also easy to find some common ground between the GameCube-era Sonic cast and the cast Sonic Team created for Puyo Pop Fever. A peppy, all-loving girl with a crush on a one-track-minded nature lover going through life at his own speed, a brash brawler, and so on. If you're familiar with Sonic, you've got some comfort and familiarity here, with their own takes on the tropes, of course.